Hello and welcome to Basingstoke Croquet Club. You may have watched the first series of these golf croquet coaching modules, which was produced in 2016 and 2017. Since then, various things have happened. First of all, you may notice a change of location. We are no longer at the lawn with lots of trees. We have a new location sharing a green with the Bowls Club in Basingstoke. And also, as far as the golf croquet game is concerned, the rules have been changed so that the modules that we made 2 or 3 years ago are no longer valid. The World Croquet Federation published the 5th edition rules for golf croquet in July 2018, and you can download for free the World Croquet Federation rules from their website, and the URL for that is on your screen. As well as the actual rules, there are some additional papers talking some commentaries and some rationale for why the rules were changed, which you can see also. Now, these are a bit of a handful, as you can see. So the Croquet Association in England and Wales published its own version in this little handbook, which you can buy from the CA shop for £5. And that came into operation in England and Wales on the 1st of March 2019. As we're going through the series, I'll put on this screen the relevant rule number in the blue book if it refers to something that we're talking about. So what is golf croquet? Well, the game really started in around the 1930s as an alternative to association croquet, which was the original form of croquet introduced to England in the early 1850s. And golf croquet became popular because it's a much shorter game than association croquet. A typical game might last 45 or 50 minutes as opposed to 2 or 3 hours for association croquet. And rather than one person sitting on the sidelines and watching the other play, in golf croquet people walk around the course together, and so the whole thing happens fairly quickly. And whereas association croquet is a sequence game, one shot leads to another shot, leads to another shot, in golf croquet each shot is a single entity. You only have one shot, and after that someone else has a turn. So it's a very different and much more simple game than association croquet. Now, it follows exactly the same course as an association croquet game, played on the same lawn with the same hoops. And here we see the lawn set out. Way over there in the far corner is the hoop with the blue top, which is where we start, and then it follows round clockwise until we come up through the hoops in the middle of the lawn, past the peg, and then we start again at the hoop in the corner here, which is hoop 7, and then we go around anti-clockwise and finishing up at hoop 12, which is the one which usually has the red top on it, although according to the rules the final hoop should be hoop 13, which is this one beside me, and that should theoretically have the red top, but in practice we leave the red top on hoop 12, which is where it is for association croquet. Golf croquet is really a competition between two sides, and a side can be singles, one person on each side, or doubles, 2 people on each side. And each side has 2 balls. One side plays with blue and black, and the other side plays with red and yellow. And the balls must be strictly played in order. And the order is set out on the peg in the centre of the lawn here. Blue, red, black, yellow. Blue, red, black, yellow. And if for any reason the order is changed, that's a fault, and we will talk about that in one of the later modules. So, but just for now, please remember the order of the balls: blue, red, black, yellow. So it's this side, that side, this side. That's how it works. It sometimes happens that it's necessary to play 2 games at the same time on the one lawn or court. It's a croquet court rather than a croquet lawn, to be exact. And in order to do that, we simply have balls with different colours, but they must also be played in the same order as before. So it's green, pink, brown and white. Green, pink, brown and white. So the green and the brown play as one side, the pink and the white play as the other. But again, in alternate order. So putting it all together, blue is the same as green, red is the same as pink, black is the same as brown, and yellow is the same as white. And this set of balls is known as primary colours, and this set of balls is known as secondary colours. If you have any players who suffer from CVD, a colour vision deficiency, what we used to call colour blindness, they should be given the opportunity to play with the primary coloured balls because they have difficulty in distinguishing between the colours of the secondaries. So here we have a hoop. As you can see, it doesn't really look like a hoop, it's more a cast iron rectangle. But in the early days of croquet, they really were hoops, that sort of shape, but we still call them hoops. And the gap between the two uprights of the hoop is fairly critical. For golf croquet, it can vary by around 1/4 of an inch, but there isn't a lot of space when the ball is sitting in there. As you can see, there's perhaps 1/8 of an inch clearance, and for tournament play, that can come down to only 1/32 of an inch, so that's really getting quite tight. So getting balls through hoops is not quite as easy as it once was. So what about equipment? We've looked at hoops. What about balls? Balls must be a standard size, weight, and have a fixed coefficient of restitution. In other words, when you drop them from a certain height, they must bounce back again to a certain height. And a croquet ball is milled around the outside. I'm not sure if you can see that very well on the video. That's to help it grip the grass as it rolls along. So what function does the peg have in golf croquet? Well, really very little. It plays no formal part in the game, other than the fact that it is an obstacle between some of the hoops, and it reminds us of the order in which the balls are played. But that's all. So we've looked at hoops and balls. What about mallets? The important thing, if you're just starting to play croquet, is do not go out and buy a mallet. Have a go with ones that are in your club, or borrow other people's. Have a go, find one that you feel comfortable with and that suits your particular style. You can get mallets made in various sizes. You can get them with longer heads, heavier heads or lighter heads, different lengths of shaft depending on how tall you are and how comfortable. You want to feel comfortable holding the mallet. This one is a typical, what one might call a beginner's mallet. It's made by George Wood in New Zealand. It's a perfectly good mallet. It's a hardwood head, a shaft, quite a nice grip, and it will do the job for both golf croquet and association croquet. Nothing wrong with that at all. This is a slightly superior mallet. Again, it's got a wooden head, but it's got a carbon fibre shaft and grips top and bottom, which is not so important in golf croquet, but it is important in association croquet when you're having to hold the mallet to do a variety of shots. This one is a little bit better still, made by John Hobbs in England. John has now stopped making mallets, but you can probably still pick them up second hand. It's a very nice mallet, and this one will come apart so that the head will unscrew from the shaft if you want to take it overseas on an aircraft or in a boat, for example. You can pack it into your suitcase fairly easily. And towards the top of the range, this is a mallet made by Dave Trimmer. It's again a carbon fibre shaft. This is a carbon fibre shell. The head of the mallet is actually hollow. There's nothing in there other than a bit of foam, but the weight of the mallet is in the ends. It's in these brass ends, and that helps to keep the mallet straight as you're swinging it to hit the ball. This particular mallet has a very nifty airline shaft. It just comes apart like that, and you can easily pop that into a suitcase or a bag if you're going overseas, for example, or on a train, wherever. It is packed down into very small space. This is a Dave Barrett mallet made from a carbon fibre shaft and a composite head, and as you can see, because Lynn is a little shorter than usual, it's been cut down to a suitable size for Lynn, and so you feel quite comfortable playing with this mallet, Lynn, presumably?
Yes.
If you want to know more about mallet manufacturers, you can look in the Croquet Gazette, and towards the back pages there is usually a set of adverts for various people who make mallets, and their contact details are there as well. Having got our mallet, we need to think about how we're going to hold it, and there are various sorts of grip, but by and large the one that many people use, called a standard grip, is like this, with my dominant right hand below my less dominant left hand. So the left hand is holding it like that, and then the right hand below it, immediately below it. And wherever possible, it's a good idea to hold your mallet with your hands close together, because what you're trying to do is to make the mallet swing smoothly in a straight line like the pendulum of a grandfather clock. Many people tend to play with hands apart like that. That's not a good idea, because what it does is to make your dominant hand, in my case the right hand, tend to push the ball through rather than allowing the mallet to swing and sweep the ball through as it should do. There are other sorts of grip as well. A commonly used one is what's known as the Solomon grip. So left hand like that, but in the right hand just below it in the same sort of fashion. And this is named after John Solomon, who was probably the greatest croquet player of the 20th century. And John Solomon picked up a croquet mallet when he was 6 or 7 years old, like this, and always held it like that. It's a really powerful grip for getting a ball to go a very long way. Really powerful. I find it a little difficult to play shots around hoops, little dinky shots, because you've got to have quite strong wrists to keep the mallet absolutely straight and plumb when you're playing those little dinky shots. Another sort of grip is the Irish grip, so-called, where both hands face forward. It's rather like the sort of grip that golfers use, where the fingers are locked together. I find that a bit uncomfortable, but many people like it. But as I said, there's no really right and wrong way of holding a mallet. It's just that you should, if possible, try and keep your hands together and find a grip that's comfortable for you. You need to be comfortable all the way through a croquet game. Some people even change their grip depending on what sort of shot they're going to play. They might use a Solomon grip for a long, powerful shot, and then perhaps a standard grip for a little dinky shot round the hoop. It doesn't matter. The important thing is that you should be comfortable with whatever grip that you choose. So let's look at how we go about hitting a croquet ball. Say that I'm going to play the red ball to hit the yellow ball. What I don't do is to start from here. When approaching the red ball, I really need to come back 4 or 5 paces to about here, so that I can then look at the line of the two balls and walk up to the red ball. The official term is stalking. I think that's a dreadful word, but call it lining up if you like, or stalking if you must. And what we're aiming to do here is to make sure that our feet, the balls, and of course the ways we swing the mallet are all in the same straight line, everything pointing in the same direction. If you do as many people do and walk up like this, stand over the ball, you have no idea where your feet are, and that's how people miss even easy little shots like this. So always, always, no matter how long the shot is, whether it's right across the lawn or just 3 feet, start back here, line up carefully. Once you've taken up position to strike the ball, having stalked it, you must try, if possible, to keep your feet as close together as possible. And this is a help to keeping the mallet swinging in a straight line. If you spread your feet apart like this, the mallet is inclined to wiggle and waggle as you come through on the striking stroke. So feet together, and that helps to keep your mallet nice and straight. And when you swing the mallet over the ball, it's called casting. And that gives you a feel for the weight of the shot you're going to play, whether it's going to be a really big, hard drive or just a little dink. That, just swinging the mallet, just gives you the feel of the weight of the mallet in your hand. And when you play the shot, try and keep the swing as flat as possible. So you're sort of reaching for the ball, like that. The reason for this flat swing is so that when the mallet hits the ball, my hands are very, very slightly in advance of the point where the mallet hits the ball, like that. And then I'm going to carry on and reach forwards. What that does is to try and keep the mallet very straight. If you have the mallet tucked up into your body like this, you're likely to poke at the ball rather than sweep the ball. So let's just show you that again. Stalking, casting, and it's really very easy. It just takes a little bit of practice. The other thing you absolutely must do when striking a ball is to keep your head down. Look at only the point on the ball that the mallet is going to strike it. One of my croquet coaching colleagues has a nifty little way of forcing people to do this, which is to take a small coin and put it under the ball that's going to be struck without the striker seeing it, and then get them to play the ball and say heads or tails. It's a very effective way of saying keep your head down until the ball is well on its way. And there is a saying in croquet, head down and hear it hit, head up and watch it miss. And it's ever so true. So keep your head down when you're playing the ball, because that keeps your head still, and that's a third of your body weight, your shoulders still, and your feet still. And if any of those move, head, shoulders, feet, everything goes awry and you will miss. So keep absolutely still when you're playing the ball. The first hoop in a game of croquet is the one with the blue coloured top. And the game is started by a player beginning from over there in corner 4, quite a long way away, and shooting a ball towards this hoop. As you can see, that was really a very nice shot, because the blue ball has landed just in front of the hoop, which puts that particular player in a very powerful position. And we'll come on to talking about that sort of thing in another module. From here on in, we progress around the court in a clockwise direction, and the first person to get his or her ball through each hoop counts that hoop. That is the scoring mechanism for golf croquet. So if this blue ball manages to run through the hoop on the next turn, that ball would score the hoop for its side. But of course there are 3 other balls around, and one of them may well knock it away. And then we go on in that sort of style, going from one hoop to the next, until we've been round enough hoops to give one player or one side 7 hoop to however many. It's the best of 13 hoops in a normal game of golf croquet. The game can be shortened by cutting it back to 7 hoops, or it can be lengthened by going to 19 hoops. But normally 13 is the norm for a game of golf croquet. So that's the end of module 1. I hope you've enjoyed it. In our next module, we're going to be looking at the turn, what happens when you're actually playing, some of the different shots you can play, and some basic tactics.